Okay, quick video. Video's got two different purposes. Show you this little thing I got from China, and also to show you real quick Yongnuo setup working in. I've got the thing with the 622 triggers. This is a Nikon system, so it's got the YN622N transceiver units. I got two of those. And I got one of the N620 or YN622 TX transmitters. The transmitter's mounted on top of this camera here, as you can see. See if I push this. Currently got +1. This has a tendency, but I've got +1 dialed in on this thing. And then I also wanted to show you this little. See if I can get in on this. This is a little deal I bought from China. Doesn't seem to be focusing too well though, does it? I've got this camera in autofocus, but it doesn't seem to be focusing worth a damn. So anyway, it's a small target. It's got a ruler on it and a target. See if I get in any closer. But you can see it's got a target area and then a ruler. It's made out of cardboard. I paid like $3.50 for it. Came from China. It took about 10 days to get it, but that's a way to calibrate your lenses with if you don't want to spend $60 for the X-Rite plastic one. Then over here I've got my Yongnuo flash set up with the YN622 trigger, and I've got that transmitter hooked into the camera with the cable. And I know that if you do not have another flash unit and another 622, it seemed like it gave me trouble. Well, it does give you trouble in aperture mode for some reason. It wants to stick the shutter at 60th of a second for some reason. I don't know if that's a setting I got in the camera or what, but I'm currently in shutter priority mode on this Nikon now, so pretty much doing it like manual, but I just wanted to get it so it got down to the lowest aperture so my depth of field would be good for that target card down there. Probably supposed to be lined up right in the middle, but I'm getting a good enough reading. I was just verifying, so I'm not really making any changes to that. I wanted to see if I could get the camera to fire with the 622 trigger with nothing on it, to automatically fire the camera, and at the same time fire the flash off in TTL mode. And that's basically what we're going to do right here to test here. And so I'm pressing the test button. We got a focus. You can see both the transmitter and receiver on the flash lit up. Now when I release the button, it should fire, and it did. So, and there's a picture of the, like I said, I'm not getting the greatest focus. This thing's supposed to be in auto focus mode, but I haven't used this, the little Coolpix camera I'm making this with, but because it's lightweight and easier. I only got one tripod. I loaned my other tripod to a friend, and I'm wishing I had it right now, but I don't. So anyway, this seems to be working pretty good. Like I say, it wants to give me trouble in aperture mode though. You'll see that automatically went to 1/60th of a second. And let's see what we get when we take that just for kicks. Yeah, see, that's a little bit, that's underexposed. And if there wasn't as much light, it would continue to get darker and darker. It's like sticks to some kind of a problem there. So you'd have to shoot in shutter priority or manual if you want to auto trigger with it, because I don't know, it's got some kind of a. Now if you do not have another flash on, if you put this blank up here instead of in TTL, which is the way you get, the only way it'll work halfway, but if you do that, then you can use aperture mode on here and it'll work right for some reason. If you're just using this to shutter, do the shutter release, you can set this to blank instead of TTL, and then your aperture mode will start working again. These things are very quirky, but typically if they, if they work, they work, but if they don't, they don't. So when you buy Yongnuo, you have to buy somewhere where you can return them. And you have to thoroughly test them as soon as you get them so you can return them if you have problems. Okay, so anyway, the remote shutter release is working. If I turn this if I turn this shutter now, if I turn this, see, as I change that shutter, as I open that up, as I go down, as I reduce the shutter speed, actually I'm already as wide open as I can get on. There it goes. Now my f-stop's going up, so that means the metering is working on that. It could be the minimum flash speed I've got set in there that's doing that to aperture priority. I'm not sure, but that could be what's causing that. I don't know, but for some reason aperture mode will not work. If you have TTL set in up here on this transmitter, you can't use the aperture mode. It'll stick the shutter at 1/60th. I think that is what I've got for my minimum flash speed. But even if you don't have a flash on there, if you don't have any flash and you set that to TTL up there, then you know it does that. So I don't know, but anyway, it's working pretty good though, because I can use shutter speed or manual actually is preferable. So let's test this one more time. This is a YN 565 flash, 565 EX for Nikon. It's a 622 trigger, YN 622N trigger on the flash unit, and a YN 622 TX up here with the cable connecting to the Nikon D7000. I'm not sure what BIOS release it is. And when you press the test button on here, press it down, you get a focus lock, and then when you release, it'll fire. And that seems to work pretty good. You can fire remote flashes. If you had other 622Ns on here with other flashes, it should work good. So anyway, that's conclusion of this video. I don't know if it's useful or not, but I took the time to do it since I took the time to set it up and test it. This does seem to work. It's pretty cool for the price that you pay. It's not bad. The YN 560 560 Mark III flashes. I don't know if they're going out of production. I don't see them on Amazon's Yongnuo site. I don't know if they're being replaced by the 560 Model 4 or not, but you can still buy the Mark IIIs, but they're about the same price as the Mark IVs. But the reason I was kind of preferring the Mark IIIs over the Mark IVs, if you go manual flash, and they're rock solid, you don't have a lot of these little bugaboos I'm having with this Nikon 622 TTL system. It's very finicky, whether it's going to work or not on your camera. These will only work in manual mode on my D5100 with the latest BIOS. So the manual system would be recommended if you don't need TTL, because they're rock solid. But if you go with the 560 Mark IIIs, you get 7 groups instead of 3 groups, which you get with the new Model 4s, 560 Model 4. I think you're back down to 3 groups. But with the 560 Model 3s and the 560 TX controller, you get 7 groups, which is pretty cool. It's one of the few systems you can get 7 groups like that, especially at the price point. So, and they come out about half the price of the TTL flashes and the TTL triggers if you go with the manual. And the manual 560, the receiver built right in the flash, so also helpful to fit in certain modifiers, light modifiers and such. So when you start buying this stuff, you might want to consider if you can get away with, you know, using manual. And then it's pretty cool because you can adjust your manual right on top of the camera with just the buttons there. You can raise and lower your flash, so it's pretty cool. And manual, I don't have any problem with shooting manual flash. I just don't have to run around to the flashes and adjust them. That looks kind of unprofessional. So anyway, you know what? I'm shutting this thing down, or I'll break down YouTube servers with all this video I'm making. Y'all take